Hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of the So Real podcast. I am your host, Allie, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining in. And this is going to be something different. Wow, you guys are going to really get to know how much I stutter and fuck up the human language that is pretty bad for me. But anyway, but we're going to go ahead and just kind of dive into the basics of, who I am, what I do, and kind of like the whole purpose of this entire podcast that I just thought of starting for some odd fucking reason. I don't know. I just thought it was a good idea, and I obviously still can't speak. So obviously I thought, I can't speak and I really suck at talking in general. Why don't I start a fucking podcast where the one thing that you do is talk? Because that makes sense, right? Definitely not. But here I am. So yes, let's go ahead and dive into the basics. So like I said, my first name is Allie. I'm 22 years old. Whoa, I'm sorry. I'm 22 years old, and I am from Wisconsin, more specifically Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've grown up here, lived here my entire life. Well, not specifically Milwaukee, but just Wisconsin in general. Never, ever lived in another state ever in my life. Although I do have a dream of living in California, because another thing about me, trauma dump much, but it is what it is. I unfortunately do have seasonal depression. So every single time that, winter and fall decides to invade Wisconsin with such awful passion and hatred, I get really down, and I'm just like, dude, I need the warmth, I need the sun, I need the fresh air. And I literally just picture myself sitting on a fucking beach in California, just like literally observing the water and, hearing like seagulls and birds and shit just flying around. Like that shit just sounds so peaceful to me. And that's what I envision as happiness. And I really do want to have that happen one day for me to, live that dream. And I'm 100% still fully committed to that, even though it's probably not going to happen. But like, dude, I feel like that's something that I need. And then like, it just is, as far as that environmental aspect, like I just overall, just in general, I want to travel more and just go to places that do remind me of that type of climate. Because I really do. I feel like that is something that affects me, my mood, and just overall everything about myself so much. And that, sense of me just being able to do things confidently and happily. And I feel like if I'm in the space to do it, I'm definitely going to be more motivated and just kind of determined to get shit done. But anyway, sorry for that random trauma dump. But more about me, besides being depressed, LMFAO, things that I do enjoy and things that do make me happy is obviously, social media in general. I watch a lot of YouTube. I listen to a couple of podcasts that are pretty funny that I think are really awesome. Definitely my favorites as far as like a social media aspect goes is, with like creators and stuff. We'll start with YouTube. So obviously if I am literally such a big fan of the Sturniolo triplets. I've always been, since like 2022, and just kind of being, I don't want to call myself like an OG because they have been around since about 2020 as far as like being in the public eye on social media goes. But I've been there, here and there since this kind of starting time. It's just I was kind of like going through a lot in 2022 when I first started watching them. Not funny, but it's the honest truth. But I didn't really get into their content and who they were as people much so until I would say probably like maybe like early 2023. But now that I'm like more involved in just like being able to watch their content and absorb it, but also being a part of the actual fandom itself, oh my God, like that shit is pretty fucking awesome to me and definitely really makes me happy. And then, with like the podcast, and not Sturniolo related, they did actually used to have a podcast, the Cut the Cameras podcast, RIP. But, like as far as like people who I listen to in a podcast type of setting, the You Should Know podcast with Peyton and Cam, love them. They're so hilarious, and they definitely deserve a lot more recognition too. Actually, one of my dream collabs is for Peyton and Cam to meet Matt, Nick, and Chris. I feel like all of them in one room would be so interesting, and I'm like dying to see it happen. Another string of, like people in general. I watch Lorray, Tara Yummy, like Carrington, people like that. A lot of like TikTok people, I would say. And I mean, I don't want to label them as TikTok people because I know the majority of them really did start off on YouTube, but I didn't really get into who they were and the content they were making until I did find them on TikTok. And then speaking of TikTok, another thing about me is that I spend a lot of time on TikTok, either it be like making content, watching a lot of content, interacting with people. Definitely something that does bring me a lot of joy. So like when that ban happened and we were all losing our fucking shit, thinking that maybe it wasn't coming back, I was definitely a part of that big ginormous crowd because I made a lot of friends on there as well. Like not just like discovering people to watch, but like, like I said before with the Sterniolo fandom, I grew to be really, really close with a lot of people. And yes, I mean, I have other social medias too that I can interact with them, via Instagram and stuff like that. But for me, it's something kind of like more sentimental. And I was like, dude, I'm literally about to lose the one app where I actually got to meet these people for the first time. And to me, that was really sad. And then, another thing about TikTok too is that sometimes here and there I'll also post my music because another thing about me is that I am a musician and I do sing and I create music. I mean, I think a lot of people that, knew me and still obviously know me already knew this about me. But I mean, if this is the way that you discovered me, I mean, that's pretty fucking cool too. But yes, I do make music, I do sing, and I do all that fun shit. And I like to sometimes use TikTok as a platform to kind of spread that, but not as much. Because like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not rich, and I'm not gonna fucking lie about that shit. Sorry, I'm a humble person, I'm an honest person, and the way that I do make my music is that I will literally go to YouTube, type in like the type of vibe that I'm looking, type beat. Yes, I said fucking type beat. I mean that shit with my full chest. And then I will find some beats that I think are pretty cool, screen record them, and then I'll plug them into BandLab, and that's when I just kind of layer my vocals and my lyrics over that beat and kind of just make it happen. But because of that, there are specific standards and, rules that I have to follow. So since I'm using somebody else's beat that they've created, there could be something like along the lines of copyright and, licensing. So there's certain things that I can post, certain things that I can't, and that's just that. But like, hopefully in the future that can change. Like maybe I'll be some type of like cool bitch or something and be famous, LMFAO. I mean, I doubt that, but like, you never know. And then, like jumping back into just like music as a general topic, I would say, I mean, kind of going off of like, not only just like my own personal inspirations, but just people that I fuck with in the music industry. I've got a really long list. I'm not even going to lie to you. And I'm like really all over the place when it does come to my music taste because I'm literally anywhere between listening to like indie, pop, rock, like alternative rap. Like I'm literally all over the fucking place. Like I am the like human speaking fucking definition of ADHD. But like that's fine because like to me having like a diverse taste in music really does have character, I believe, because it just kind of shows that you can vibe with anything and you can find creativity in anything, and I really do enjoy doing that. And as far as like, people that I do listen to within different genres, some of my top favorites would be like Youngblood and like the alternative type of vibe. I listen to like a lot of Lil Skies, Ken Carson, just like in like the hip hop vibe. Definitely a big fan of indie. That's like one of my top genres. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So like a lot of Malcolm Todd, probably, like Crooked Kings, Frank Ocean. Oh my fuck. Don't even get me started on Frank Ocean. I miss him, dude. Like I can literally go on a fucking entire, monologue about how much I fucking miss Frank Ocean, and I will never shut up. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But some more artists like Steve Lacy. I do tend to kind of listen to a little bit of like Tim Atlas, just some really, really good indie artists. And then like with like the pop vibe, I would say definitely like a lot of Ariana Grande. I've been getting into Nessa Barrett a lot more. Billie Eilish. I Love Billie Eilish, but I'm not even going to label her as pop. I would say definitely, like alternative type of thing because she's all over the place as well, but in a great way. And like, with all of these artists, being from different musical backgrounds, I feel like that kind of just ties everything into like my vibe and like who I am and what makes me me. Like music is and always will be such a huge part of my life, and that's never going to change. Okay, so since this was like the little first episode, if that's what you want to call it, a little episode, I think that we should probably end it here just because this is just like an intro to like what I am and who I am and what you're going to be listening to if you continue to listen, which would be great. I just literally, kind of started this off a whim. Like I had plans for this, but like I just really didn't think through like scheduling and everything like that and like topics to talk about. So I'm going to kind of leave the topics part up to you if that's something that you guys are interested in. Just kind of like letting me know like what do you want me to talk about, because I'm low-key down to talk about anything that isn't disgusting. So just, like leave some comments below and I'll see if I have any interest in kind of bringing up those topics. But one thing I did want to do is kind of like something that will be original as far as like this channel goes is end the episodes with a random question for you guys to answer below. And then I would plan on, sharing either like a couple responses or like the number one response that, stood out to me the most. And then I would kind of talk about it in the next episode as like an intro. So for my first official question of the episode, I am going to ask, what is your favorite genre of music or artist in music and why? I really do want to see some answers because I'm always, always, always open to not only just kind of like figuring out like more about people, but just artists in general too. Like I said, I'm very diverse in my music taste and I love discovering new artists. So, I mean, if you comment somebody and I do like a deep dive into their music background and I end up really vibing with it, that would be great. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into the first episode, and I really do hope that you enjoyed it. Sorry if it was annoying, but also sorry not sorry, meaning that I don't mean it. I do hope that you did enjoy it though, and I look forward to doing more of these in the future, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.